"What a gorgeous house," my daughter-in-law Vanessa said, running her hand across my late husband's dining table like she already owned it. "Mom is going to love living here." She'd already picked out the sunroom bedroom. She'd already planned to turn my basement into an office. Nobody had asked me a single question. My name is Eleanor Brooks. I'm 67, widowed 6 years, and I've lived in this house for 4 decades. My son Oliver married Vanessa 8 years ago, and from day one, she treated boundaries like suggestions. That night at dinner, she casually announced her mother Martha would be moving in with me. My bedroom's already assigned, my basement already claimed. My son said nothing. He just stared at his plate. I set down my coffee cup. "No." One word. Vanessa laughed it off, certain I'd come around. I told her plainly, this house doesn't belong to her and she doesn't get to assign rooms in it. She reminded me we were family. I reminded her that family respects boundaries too. Then she dropped the real bomb. She'd already ended her mother's apartment lease. Martha was moving next month, whether I agreed or not. That was Vanessa's whole strategy. Create the crisis first, force me to solve it after. 2 days later, she showed up with boxes of Martha's belongings and let herself in like she lived there. I rolled them straight back onto the porch and texted Oliver to collect them. He did, quietly, looking exhausted. I thought that would be the end of it. It wasn't. A few mornings later, Vanessa let herself into my house with a spare key Oliver had given her in case something happened to me, and started measuring the basement for her mother's things. I stopped her at the stairs and took the key back. She called me unreasonable. I called a locksmith that same afternoon and changed every lock in the house. Then I made one more decision. For years I'd been sending Oliver monthly money to help with my grandchildren, Caleb and Lily. I stopped the transfers and opened locked savings accounts in each child's name instead. Money they'd receive at 18, untouchable by anyone else. When Vanessa called demanding to know where her money went, I told her plainly, it was never hers to spend. She called it revenge. I called it protecting my grandchildren from people who'd already spent money they hadn't earned. Oliver finally came to see me alone, hollow-eyed and apologetic. He admitted Vanessa had told Martha she could move in without ever asking me. I asked him why he hadn't stopped her. "I didn't want another argument," he said. That was the whole problem. 20 years of avoiding conflict had left him incapable of protecting anyone, including his own mother. A week later, Martha herself showed up at my fence, quiet and shaken. She hadn't known any of it was a lie. She genuinely believed I'd invited her. I made her tea and told her the truth. She cried, apologized, and for the first time, she and I weren't on opposite sides of Vanessa's scheme. Then Vanessa escalated one final time. She arrived with Oliver, the kids, and a folder of legal paperwork drawn up by her own attorney. A plan for me to sign the house over to Oliver immediately, keeping only the basement to live in myself while she and Oliver took the upstairs. She'd built an entire future around my home without me in it. I looked at that folder and told her the truth. My will had already been finalized years ago. Quietly, the way real decisions are made. The house would go to Oliver, after I was gone. And if anyone ever tried forcing me out of it while I was still alive, I'd rewrite that will the very next morning and donate the house to a widow's foundation instead. That's when Martha finally stood up, not for me, but against her own daughter. "That's enough, Vanessa," she said. "Eleanor said no from the beginning. You let me believe she invited me." Vanessa had no answer. She picked up her folder and walked out without another word. She never came back to my house again. Within a month, Oliver and Vanessa separated. He came to me alone one November evening, thinner, quieter, finally honest. Vanessa had pushed him to challenge my will with a lawyer of her own. He'd refused. I told her I would never take my mother's home away from her. He said it was the first time in years he'd chosen me over her convenience. Martha moved into the retirement community I recommended and found more friends there in weeks than she had in years. Oliver rebuilt his relationship with me slowly, raking leaves, fixing the gate his father never got to, bringing the kids over on weekends, while Caleb and Lily's savings quietly grew, untouched, exactly as I'd planned. Vanessa stayed in the children's lives from a distance. She never set foot in my house again. That chapter closed itself the moment she realized a no wasn't a negotiation. It was the whole answer. I still drink my coffee black every morning. I still lock every door myself. Not because I'm keeping people out, but because I finally learned that the people worth having inside will always respect the lock in the first place. If someone's ever tried to move into your life without asking, tell me in the comments. How did you say no?